Hello everyone, and welcome to this, well, I can't really call it quick, but welcome to this tutorial on how to get started on making a mission and installing installing sort of the framework that we're going to use for creating missions. To start off, you're going to want to open the editor and pick which map you want to use for the mission. For this, we'll just go with Molten. So while it loads, you could download the F3 framework. I'll put a link to it in the description. So we've picked Molten. We want to use Molten for our mission. So what we need to do now is you have to find the place, and basically you have to come up with an idea for the mission that you want to make. And for this, we'll just make a very, very, very simple TVT sort of thing. It probably won't be an actual mission, but you might get to play it later. Anyways, yeah, find the have a mission idea, find the proper terrain you want to use for it, figure out what sort of style it's going to be, if it's going to be defense or offensive or whatever. But yeah, that doesn't really matter. You can figure that out on your own. Anyways, we are going to use Molten, and now we're gonna want to install the framework to get started. To do that, we're gonna first save the mission, and we're gonna save it in the MP missions folder. Gonna want to unbinarize the scenario file. It makes it easier to edit in the future, and then we're gonna give it a name, and we're gonna use the preferred naming convention for missions in Combined Arms, which is CA for Combined Arms underscore your name for the mission editor, who made it, so we know, and then underscore, and either you can call it CO for cooperative if it's meant to be players versus AI, or you can call it TVT if it's meant to be player versus player. And then a number for how many people it'll support. And if you don't know, just put XX. Underscore, the name, give your mission a name, something like, let's call this, I don't know, Operation Kill the... Yeah, let's just call it Operation Kill. And then that is basically it. If you're gonna make edits to your mission, you can by now call it different versions. So yeah, we'll look into that, but you can call it other versions. You can call it underscore v1 for version 1, but for now we're just gonna call it Operation Kill. Save that. Now it's saved. Now you have a folder in your folder called the MP missions. Let me see. It is not in here yet. Alright, there we go. So, CA, Klima, TVT, XX, Operation Kill on Molten. The dot whatever is the name of the map, and you can easily move missions to other maps, or well, not, you can move missions to other maps, but you need to touch it up after by simply renaming the Molten to Portal, for example, if we want to move it. But we're not gonna mess with that, not for now. So inside the folder, the Operation Kill folder, your mission folder, you're gonna have Mission SQM. Mission SQM holds whatever you've done before this. So if you've kind of looked around and placed down some markers and such, you're gonna lose those markers if you don't back up the Missions SQM. But basically, just install the framework first and then mess with that stuff. Anyways, to install the framework, you've downloaded the folder. the F3CA master folder, and inside the folder you're going to see all this. Basically what you're going to do is copy it, and then move it into the folder, and then say, if it asks you to replace files on the destination, just say yes. Now you've installed the framework into the mission, and you're going to want to reload the mission just to get the get the framework up working. But just exit out of the editor, open the terrain you want to use, and then open np missions and find your mission there, Operation Kill, and then open. Hold on while it loads. Still loading. Boom, there we go. Alright, so now in your mission you will have some pre-placed units that you can use. You don't have to use them, but generally it's easier to use them if you're just gonna use the gear script and so on. You're also gonna have some pre-placed modules. These are for the headless clients if they're active, and these are for the SUS if you want to use SUS. The Game Master modules are also pretty convenient. The modules for medical settings, weather, revive settings, pointing settings, and the repair module. All pretty handy. As you can see, we here have the pre-placed units. They're in the water right now, so if we play the mission, they'll just fall down and all die. But yeah, we have some pre-placed units. Make use of these to make it easier for yourself. Anyways, we are going to want to make a small TVT, and it's going to take place on the airport. And the idea is going to be that one team spawns in one end of the airport and the other team spawns in the other end of the airport, and it is basically a deathmatch. Like whichever team is alive at the end wins. But this, you can basically, this is just to give you an idea of how to make missions. So we're going to want to move all of this up to the airfield, because that's where we're gonna be. And of course we're not going to use all of it, so we're only going to be using 2 teams. That means this team, the green team, which is independent. If you're going to make a 3-way TVT, you'll use all 3 teams, but we're only going to use 2 teams, so we're just going to delete all of those. No need for them. We're not going to want any civilians either, any hostages, so just delete those too. And now it comes down to what kind of units you want to use for the mission. So I don't want any helicopters or any kind of support units for it, so I'm just going to delete all the helicopters, all the IFVs, all the tanks. And also these, there are diver teams. You can read what team they are on the if you hover over them. So yeah, not going to use those. I'm also going to make it a kind of small TVT. So for Charlie, C Squad, I don't want those, so I'm just going to delete those. And we're probably not going to use CO either, so I'm just going to delete that spot too. Also not going to use the transport or the supply boxes, so I'm just going to delete that. And there you have it. This is the red team. Now I'm going to do the same for the blue team, because I want it to be a 1-to-1 TVT. So just delete all of the stuff you do not need. Of course, if you are making a bigger mission, you can just keep whatever. The respawn points, I do not want the respawn points because it's going to be a TVT, so no one's going to respawn. There we go. And now I'm just going to move the red team up to one side of the airport. I'm going to start here, and the other team to the other side of the airport. Whoops. Move them down here. And now you basically have a working mission now. Well, except you spawn in the air. What I'm doing is I'm marking marking all the units and then holding Alt, which alters the height of your units, and I'm just moving them down so that they spawn on the floor instead of in the air. Otherwise, they're gonna fall down and die, and we do not want that. So yeah, so basically you have a functioning TVT now. The two teams are gonna spawn in these configurations, depending on how many people are joining each side, and they can battle down. But it's not very refined. There's no, like, you'll have to manually end the mission when one team dies, and the settings aren't really set up for TVTs where there's permadeath, or, well, there's no real revive timer and such. So we're gonna enhance it a little bit at this point. So what we're gonna do is gonna save it, because it's nice to save. Remember to save your missions, otherwise you could lose a lot of progress. First of all, what should we do? Right, let's set up the win conditions. Okay, so the win conditions is going to be done by triggers, and since we only want them to fight on the airfield, we could make a big area to symbolize that we only want them to fight on this airfield. And we're going to put down a marker, and we're going to figure out the size. See, that's too much, so we're going to decrease it to 500, and then increase this to let's say let's also say 500. See what we have there. Okay, I'm going to increase this to 800. Still a little too little. Alright. And we can even move it down further. Let's say 400. Let's say 350 actually. Okay, that's pretty good. And now we're going to make it a little prettier. Let's see, let's make that a solid border in red. Whoops. Yeah, you could do that, but let's just do a border. There we go. So now we have a let's say a rectangle that'll show that this is the area I want you to fight in and stay in. So you can just say stay within the red border once the mission starts, and people will obey that. Now for the win conditions, we're going to use a trigger, place it in the middle, and we'll get a rectangle, and we'll use the same sizes as before. I may have reversed that. What was the size? Let's see. 350 and 900. Okay. Let's just give it 50 extra, just to make sure. Alright, so now there's a little leeway. Now if they somehow have to, or by accident, move outside of the red circle, they have a little bit of leeway to get back inside the fight. But yeah, okay. So the trigger, we're gonna make it an ending. So the type is gonna be end, because that completes the scenario. The activation is gonna be, let's see, if we do blue 4 and not present. So ending 1 is going to trigger when blue 4 units are not present within the trigger. Bam. That's the first win condition. So now whenever blue 4 units are present within this trigger, it won't trigger the ending. But if blue 4 units, if all the blue 4 units die, it'll trigger the end because there's no blue 4 players present within the trigger. So that ends the mission. And that's pretty cool. We're probably going to want to set a countdown, so we'll give it like 10 seconds. Whoops. So now, once the trigger conditions are met, so that there are no blue 4 within the trigger, it'll take 10 seconds, and then it'll activate the ending number 1. So that means it won't just end the minute someone dies. You will have like 10 seconds before it does. So we're going to add another trigger, trigger 2, and we'll give it ending 2, and make it up 4, not present. And then countdown, 10 seconds also. Remember to put in these, 950, 400, bam. And then move it a little bit to make it match. There we go. Okay, so ending number 2 will trigger when there are no up 4 present within the circle. Yeah. So those are the trigger conditions. So let's just test it out. The easiest way to test this out is by starting it in multiplayer on LAN, and then joining, let's say, join blue 4, just slot in. Playing it in multiplayer will mean that the other units won't spawn because there are no players to play them. If you play it in single player and test it, all the units will spawn, and each one is handy for different things. So if you want to test the activation triggers, your triggers in the mission, it's like this. It's handy to use the multiplayer because, as I said, you can easily test it. There's no one else on the other team, so just to make sure that the trigger's actually working the way you want it to. Alright. So it should take 10 seconds, and then the ending will pop up. Yeah, ending 2. So blue 4 wins. Alright, we've tested that the triggers work, which is fine. And now, we've set in triggers that'll activate once one team wins. We can further enhance those, but first off, let's take a look at the revive settings. So let's just disable revive. So once you're shot enough to go down into the revive state, as you all know, instead of lying in the revive state and being able to revive, you'll just die, which is kind of handy for a situation like this, because yeah, don't really want that. Prevent instant death, let's say disabled. So now you can die in one shot, which is fine. This is just test. You can change these however you want. Let's see. Alright. So now you have a functioning TVT with triggers to end the mission on its own, so you don't have to manually do it and manually be watching over everything, which is kind of handy. So as I said, we can further enhance the quality of the triggers. We'll do that by going to the mission folder where the framework is installed, and we'll go into, I think it's description. No, not now. Let's see. Pretty sure it's under description. I'm using a SQF, what do you call it? Like an SQF highlighter for Notepad++. Yours probably won't look like this, but you can download a SQF highlighter to make it easier to edit these SQF files and so on. Anyways, yeah, okay, here we go. So under the description to DXT, we have, you can see class end1 and class end2. These are the two endings we've used. So for ending 2, which is no up4 present within the circle, that means blue 4 wins. And then the description is by default, please post to the AR thread, but you can change that to however you want, which let's call it democracy wins once again, just for a bit of fun. And ending 1 was no blue 4 present within the circle, which means up 4 wins. And then let's say all glory to the, say, motherland instead. There we go. All glory to the motherland. Bam. Great. So now, once the trigger appears, instead of just saying ending #1, it'll say up 4 wins, and instead of just saying, and the description will be all glory to the motherland. Inside this description ext, you can also change other stuff, which here you can see. You can change the game type so that it'll say this. You don't have to do this. This is optional, but let's call it TDM. And on the loading screen, we will make it so that it says Operation Kill. And on the author, I'll put my own name, Klima, and save it. Alright, now let's check out the new triggers. So we'll play it in multiplayer, and we will join up for this time. So notice the loading screen here. Now it says Operation Kill by Klima, and it's a team deathmatch. So it's small things like that you can change just to make it look a little more refined or professional or whatever you want to call it. So let's test it. Should take 10 seconds, and then the new win screen will come up. Up 4 wins. All glory to the motherland. So that works. Nice. Now we have a functioning, refined TVT, but we can further refine it and further customize it. And we'll do that by changing the gear for the people. So let's save it. And then, actually let's first yeah, we'll just keep the unit compositions like that. No, actually it's better if I show you how to change it. Okay, I'm going to show you how to change it. Since it's going to be a 1-to-1 2D, let's just make all the units riflemen. And the way we do this is by clicking on a unit that is not a rifleman. So you can see this guy is already a rifleman. Whoops. This guy is already a rifleman, so we don't need to change anything for this guy. Oh, except he's an AA. Okay, let's do it like that. Okay, now he's a rifleman. If you haven't seen my previous video on how to manipulate the gear script, I'd highly recommend you watch that at this point to better understand the gear script and how to change the units around. Anyways, this is a rifleman. So we're just going to make that a rifleman. We'll make this rifleman T into a rifleman, and we can change this name too, so we call it Bravo 2 rifleman. This we don't really have to think, like, no one will see this. This is just for your own. If you have OCD and need to change it into R2 for rifleman 2 or anything, you can do that. Oh wait, whoops. There we go. Underscore 2. Okay. Change this into a rifleman. We'll move this. And here we go, automatic rifleman. So this down here, this will be the, I'll show you, but this is the role description that you see on the load screen. There we go. Okay, so now I can show you. So now all of these are riflemen. So let's check it out in multiplayer so you can see what I mean about it. Okay, so here we go. So see, on Blue 4, Alpha 1 and Alpha 2 are still set up as they usually are, with 2 automatic riflemen, 1 rifleman AT, and 2 regular riflemen. The same as B1, but if we go down to B2, you can see that since I changed the names from automatic riflemen to just riflemen, B2 is completely filled with riflemen. So you can call that whatever you want to call it. If you're doing something that is not NATO, you can call them whatever you want. These are just, again, these are smaller details to make it easier for new people, or just to refine it, just to make it prettier, to make it more, make it look better. You don't really have to do it, but you can do it. So let's go back. Right. So again, I'm going to change all of these to R. Now I won't bother with rifleman. Actually, let's just copy this to make it easier for me. There we go. So yeah, just change all of this. Change all of the units. And if I'm clever, I'll probably trim this part so that you don't see me doing all of this. But we'll see. I'm not really used to using the what's it called, YouTube trim thing. I haven't really used it a whole lot as of yet, so I'm not really familiar with it. But we'll see. Maybe I'll trim it. Maybe I won't. And you'll be able to listen to me ramble on while I work. I'll definitely remember to put in timestamps once I've uploaded this, because timestamps really help in this part. Whoops, see, now I forgot to change this. But yeah, timestamps really help when you're doing this, so that people can easily jump to and from sections that they don't really, if they're just, oh, I forgot this part, I'll quickly rewatch it. I know where it is. I can just use the timestamp to go there immediately. It's probably an easier way to do this, but I haven't really looked into it. And also it's nice. Usually I listen to music when I make missions, so it's not nearly as boring. God damn it. Did that push? I did not notice. Okay. Cool. La 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 la. Yeah. Anyways, make sure to watch the gear script tutorial. That'll help you with this section. All right, and I'm gonna keep the 2 medics just because, whatever, doesn't really matter. Okay, same thing for the up4 side. Gonna want to change all of these into riflemen. That is also an AAR. So I said I usually listen to music at this point in making a mission, but I can't really listen to music now because I'm gonna upload it to YouTube, and if I listen to music, the video will be flagged for copyright infringement, and then there won't be any sound on it at all, and you wouldn't be able to hear what I said. And it's pretty important you hear what I say because it's a tutorial. So I'm not gonna listen to music, at least not music that would hit me with a copyright infringement, but whatever. This is also fine. It'll be quick. So yeah, as I said, you don't have to do this, but I like doing it because it's just easier to keep track of. It makes it look more done, more refined, and it also means you can use this for later missions if you want to do like different teams, so that it isn't Alpha 1 and Alpha 2, but instead it's like you can have Alpha 1 be like Marsok Raiders, or you can have Bravo 2 be Delta Force if you want to do something like with only Snowflake slots, so you can make two different armies altogether. So you can call one like NATO or like Royal Danish Army fighting alongside the Norwegians against the terrible Swedes or whatever. It's a nice attention to detail you can use if you're gonna make missions. Making missions is great. If you're unsure of other modules, you can always just mess around with the editor for like 30 minutes or an hour a day. It's kind of fun. You can make whatever you want to if you really feel like, man, I have the greatest idea for a mission, or I wonder if this thing works, and like, can I make a bus with 9 million weapons on it? Yes, you can do that. Alright, so we've changed all of the people to riflemen. So at this point, you would open your mission folder, and inside it you'd find F and assign gear, and then edit the gear script. I would probably make these Russians because it says all go to the motherland, and the Blue 14 would be some standard American army or maybe Brits or whatever. You can do that. You can do whatever you want. Anything else we can do? Oh yeah, you can edit the briefing. Whoops, that is not inside here. So you can edit the West briefing. Again, you don't have to do this, but these will go into the on the map screen. There's the briefing and the ORBAT and so on. You can change these and it'll say something, but we don't really need to do that. More importantly is just to show you how to make a mission, how to install the framework, and how to export it, and how to refine your mission. So now we have made a mission, a very simple TVT. There are triggers, the classes have been set, the player slots have been set, the triggers have been made, framework installed, the modules have been changed. All that's left to do now is, once you've changed the gear script around, if you want to do that, next all you have to do is export it. And to export it, you go to the scenario, export, and export to multiplayer. Do it. Now, inside your regular Arma folder, Arma 3 folder within the Steam Apps Common Arma 3, go down and there's a folder called MP Missions. Inside there you'll find the PBO file. You can see here, CEA, Klima, TVT, Operation Kill.molten. All you do with that is ping it, go to Actually, let's just do it. Go to Discord, go to mission making, and do add mission uploader. Please upload a mission for me. And then you attach the mission. And then you're done. Good work. Now you know the basics of making a mission with a framework. Hopefully this helps you. If this doesn't help you, I'm sorry. Please tell me what I did wrong, and maybe I can make an improved tutorial. If not, if you want to see how to make a co-op mission, please tell me and I'll try and do that. Otherwise, thanks for watching.